it's Dave Dyer, and welcome to another episode of Tight 10 with Dave Dyer. This is my podcast where I have people on that I find interesting, and I hope you find interesting, and it's your way to get to know them in kind of a quick, efficient manner. In and out, just like me at a party. Let's go. My guest today is comedian, father, husband, Auggie Smith.
Yeah,
Hi,
it's
Auggie.
a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff.
Now, let me say this. You have been a comedian for a very long time, but another part of your intro and doing my research, listen, I do research for these things, so don't worry. I'm going to know some stuff that you didn't know I know.
Nobody says you don't.
2010, you were the winner of both the Seattle and San Francisco comedy competition.
That's right. And
Right.
yeah, let me tell you something. So both those contests are 3 weeks long, okay?
Okay.
There's a preliminary where you do 5 minutes, and there's 15 of you doing 5 minutes. And they say Seattle and they say San Francisco. None of the shows are in San Francisco, and hardly any of the shows are in Seattle. You're all over Washington. We did the first week of semifinals for that year of San Francisco. We had, I'm not kidding you, Dave, a 5-hour drive every day. Every day was a 5-hour drive. We had shows in Tahoe. We had shows in Santa Barbara. We had shows in Northern California near the Oregon border, where they grow the weed. We had shows there. For the
more of
San Francisco. So what it is every night you're judged. You're judged by judges who say how well you did with math, okay? And if you have a bad night, they will prove it. They will prove it with math, how unfunny you are.
Yeah, good.
So you spend 3 weeks every night being judged. Right? And then the next so the one contest in September, the other one's in November, and did them back to back, and it was exhausting, absolutely exhausting. But I won both of them, and nobody's ever done that in the same calendar year.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm guessing because of the amount of time that you obviously had to commit and invest in this, did you have to cancel gigs, and were both the wins worth it?
Yes, I did have to cancel gigs. No, it wasn't worth it. Not financially. Financially, basically you break even if you win. If you win, you break even. And so the thing about it is, it was just, in our business, every night you do a show, and maybe you do well, and maybe you don't do well, and then it's over. And then it's over. But sometimes there's a ways to gauge your performance. And a comedy contest is one of the rare ways in our job you actually get to gauge it. There's actually a hill to climb. There's, it's like at another job, there's a bunch of boxes that you need to get on a truck. So you put the boxes on the truck, and now you know your job is done. As a comedian, it's very hard to tell how well you're doing, if you did the thing. It's just, if you're making a living, you're making a living. But with the contest, it's like, yes, I did that. For 3 weeks, I was the best comic out of this group of people. So, yeah.
Nice.
It felt good.
There you go.
It felt good, Dave.
Good.
And also, I was wooing my wife at the time. And so she got to see me win Seattle. She was there for the finals. And
nice.
I turned 40 that week. And so one of the nights that I won, because you get judged every night and there's a winner every night, I happened to win on my birthday. And so she brought out a cake. I don't know what would have happened if I had sucked, if I had gotten last place, if I still would have gotten the cake. I don't know.
Yeah. If she bought the cake, you got the cake. Just no candle on it. That's
right.
The big difference.
That's right.
Yeah.
Why buy the cake when you get the cow for free, Dave?
Exact. And if I should mention, unless you don't want it mentioned, too late, it's going to be mentioned. Your lovely wife is from, if I'm not mistaken, Battle Creek, Michigan, correct?
That's right.
Correct?
She's a Michigander.
Which is about an hour away from me.
You know where she went to college?
Where?
Ohio State. From Michigan. And it's just very important for me to point out that my wife went to college on a cheerleading scholarship. It's just important that you know that
is that for
I
real?
got a person that went to college on a cheerleading scholarship. Just so you know.
That's great. I didn't know they handed those out.
That's what God gives you if you're funny, man. If you're funny, you get stuff.
You get a cheerleader.
Extra stuff you don't deserve.
Good for you. All right, Augie, here we go. We got 10 questions. This is not like a lightning round thing. Some of them, like I said, are a little silly. Some of them more in depth about you and your career and things like that. So let's go. Number one is always a this or that question. Here it is. Number one, Portland, Oregon, or Los Angeles, California? Which do you prefer and why?
Oh, man. So when I was 20 years old, I moved to Portland to start doing stand-up comedy from Billings, Montana. And on and off, I lived there for 20 years. It's where I met my wife. It's where I had a lot of career successes. I love it. I love Portland so much. But I live in Los Angeles now, and that's where my children are, and that's where they were born. And the weather's really nice. So I'm going to say, because it reminds me of my youth, Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go. Good.
Surprisingly good burritos in Portland, too. You think,
really?
Oh, LA has better burritos. Yeah, of course they do. But
yeah.
Portland has better burritos than you'd expect.
Look, isn't that more about the people making it rather than the region where it comes from? It's if you got a guy in Portland who knows how to make a hell of a burrito, it's just the way it works out, right?
Yeah, they know how to roll tortillas there, man. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's all in the sauce. All right, question number 2. You spent a good chunk of your life, as you just mentioned, growing up in Billings, Montana. I'm going to guess probably the product of a broken home. And we can go into that. That's another podcast.
You're just going to guess.
I'm just going to guess. Now, I also know from my research you were president of your debate team in high school. Here's what I want to know, because this always interests me about comics and friends of mine who are comics. Mm-hmm. When I ask you this question, tell me the first thing that comes to your mind as far as the trigger in your life, whether it was a person, a class, a family member, something that happened that made you say, I may be able to make a room full of strangers laugh. What made you think, I could be a comic? I'm funny.
Wow, what a great question. Product of a broken home. Very sad kid. Always looking at my shoes. Never wanting to engage anybody. Somebody would yell my name and I'd pretend not to hear it and keep walking. I was that kind of kid. But then one day, there was some commercial. It was a candy bar commercial, and it had a jingle, and I changed the jingle to be pooping, to everything was pooping, and it killed.
It always starts.
Dave, it killed. And I thought from that day on, it's like, I can do this thing. I can be an idiot, and then people will like me. And so at night, when I was a teenager, I had a little TV in my room, and I would stay up every night, and I would watch Carson, and I would watch Letterman, and I'd only watch them for the stand-ups. They didn't have stand-ups on every night, but they had a lot of stand-ups on. And I'm telling you, Dave, I didn't know there was such thing as bad stand-up comedy. I just thought they were all great. I had enjoyed every one that I had seen. I liked it all. And I remember having a conversation when I was a senior with this teacher, actually called Mr. Hooker was his name. And I said, I don't know what I want to do with my life. Because at the time, and it wasn't the debate team. It was the speech team. Okay? Get your facts right, Dyer. Come on, man.
Changing it.
Get your facts right. I was an extemporaneous speaker. You have a half hour to prepare a 5 to 8 minute speech, okay? Get it straight, man.
Got it.
All right.
I'll fix that in post.
And I remember telling my teacher, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm good at speaking, and I'm good at making people laugh. And he's like, well, why don't you do that? And it never occurred to me, that's a job. That's something that people do. And that was like the moment. It was like, oh, wait, I can go and do that. So that's what it did. Yeah.
There you go.
And here we are, 35 years later, smooth as glass.
Smooth as glass. Everything's going exactly the way we wanted it to.
This was the plan.
I can remember, for me, one of the things I remember, and you bring that up as far as watching the Tonight Show, things like that. There's an iconic radio station here in Grand Rapids called WLAV, and there was a guy who was on for years, one of the founding members of it, a guy named Ed Buchanan. And on Sunday nights at 9 o'clock, he had a show called the Ed Buchanan Comedy Hour, where he would play clips of famous comedians. And I used to sit in bed with my little GE transistor radio under the covers with that little earbud in there listening to stand-up. And I'm, 5-6 years old, and it's like, it just absolutely amazed me. It was something that just, at that age, I wasn't going, hey, this is what I want to do with my life, but it was certainly something that instantly captured me, and there was something about it that I just always appreciated.
Yeah, I had no interest in the celebrity interviews. I didn't care about Tony Randall. I didn't care about Burt Reynolds. It's whatever comedian, young Richard Jenny, and it Drew Carey. I remember the first time he was on. Yeah, it was exciting.
I remember too with Drew Carey. I remember that first time he was on. Great. He said, Drew Carey said after that night, his whole, and this is obviously the difference in the impact that stuff has then and now. I remember speaking with Drew Carey, and he said the night after his Tonight Show, or the day after his Tonight Show, his calendar for the next year was completely full.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's when that could do that for you. There's nothing like that anymore. There's not a place where you can have a great set and then that makes your year. It doesn't happen anymore.
Right. Yep, I agree. All right, question number 3. Throughout your career, you have spent time in Portland, Oregon, as you mentioned, Chicago, Illinois, New York City, and Los Angeles. Of those places, where did you feel the funniest and feel that you were progressing the most as a comedian?
Portland, for sure.
Okay.
Portland for sure, because so I've been on the road with this as my only job since 1993. So I was 22 when this became my only job. And the way that I was able to make that work was, back then, gas was $1.25 a gallon, and you could find it for 99 cents. And so there were gigs all over the Northwest and Montana and Idaho and Utah that paid $100 to open a bar gig. Mm-hmm. But I could do that. I could make that kind of money work. And so I'd travel around. I got so hardened because you'd go up in front of a crowd that wasn't even paying attention. The pool tables were still on. There was no cover charge. Half the time you'd call the bar to find out when the show starts, and the bartender didn't know there was going to be a show that night. That was half of the time, right? So you get up, and so I got so good at just making people that had no interest in comedy pay attention to comedy. And so I got good very fast because it was such difficult gigs. And then in Portland, I quickly became like the guy, like especially when I went away to LA and New York and then came back when I was in my mid-30s. I was going to like the open mics because I always went to the open mics, and I was looked up to by people. And when people look up to you and when people admire your talent, it makes you better because you want to live up to their expectations,
Yep. I have often said to people, look, I've lived in Grand Rapids my whole career. I did not make the move to any big cities or anything like that. But I'm talking about a similar environment to like you're mentioning in Oregon. I have often said to people, at least in the environment I came up in, here's where you start to know you're getting good. When you can make a room full of 8 people who didn't even know there was going to be a show at a hotel bar in the middle of Michigan laugh and have a good time, that's when you know you're starting to get good. Yeah.
I took a country club gig, and this has got to be 7-8 years ago. It was before COVID. And it was in the middle of Montana. It's a country club in the middle of Montana. And they called me up the night before. And they said, Auggie, we've only sold like 20 tickets. And so we thought what we do is we just have a dinner. And you could just come to the dinner and just be funny. And I'm trying to explain. It's like, comedians are not social people. We don't do this because we're good with other people. We're good when we're the only one talking. And I'm like, 20, that's plenty. 20 is plenty. So I got there, and I rearranged the room. I had people pick up their tables and put them in the right order and everything. And then I just went up cold and did an hour into the horrible little sound system. And it was fantastic. And they had a great time. Yeah. And the thing is, Dave, there's a couple hundred people walking the face of the earth that could have done that gig. And that's the thing, is like, if you got a packed theater, there's a lot better comedians than me. But if you have an empty bar where there's 12 people and I'm in front of a dartboard, I'm one of the best comedians in the world. I'm one of the best dartboard comedians you'll ever see.
It's a whole little genre that nobody ever thinks about.
Yeah.
It's a very thin
Variety
slice of the comedy pie.
Yeah. 10 dartboard comedians to watch. They don't have that one. But if they did.
Yep. And you're on it. Bullseye right there. All right. Question number 4. You're married. You got 2 kids.
3.
I'm married. You have 3 kids.
3 kids. But I don't know who's doing your research, man. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, they're fired. You got 3 kids. Regardless, it doesn't. The number doesn't matter. You have kids. I was coming up. I had little. My kids were little. As you're fully aware, having kids, at least when you're a comedian and the things you want to do or things you wanted to do, it drastically changes your priority list. What you thought you were going to do, you can no longer do, and you have to kind of make a different path. What has that done? I don't want to say, I'm not going to sit here and go, hey, what part of your career have your kids ruined? I'm not going to ask you that. I'm going to ask you, what part of your career has being a dad to those 3 kids helped?
Okay, this is a big question that has a big answer, but I'm going to try to narrow it as much as possible.
Okay.
Having children, as you know, and as anybody else with children knows, either makes you a better person or a worse person. Those are the 2 possibilities. With me, it made me a better person, thank goodness. And so just being a better person makes you a better comic. And having the life experience of having children also makes you a better comic. Here's the problem. Your children become so much a part of your being that it's all I want to talk about on stage. Especially in my circumstance, my youngest son has special needs. So he takes up just a lot of time. I mean, it's a lot of your life is spent doing this. And so I've always talked about what I know. And what I know right now is being a special needs dad. So it's a lot of my act. It's a lot of what I talk about. Now, in your crowd, especially in a young comedy crowd, a lot of those people don't have kids. A lot of those people don't want to think about having kids. They're 23 years old. They're out having a good time. They don't want to hear about your special needs son. So that's the key, is to make them want to hear it. Is to do it so well that it's interesting to somebody that it has nothing to do with their life. Because guys with kids, when talking to people without kids about having kids, we always sound like we know something that they don't. It's impossible not to sound like a jerk. And the reason for that, Dave, is because we do. We just do. I spent 40 years without kids, and now I have kids, and I know the difference. I know the difference in life. I know the difference in the person that I am. Saying that it makes me a better person sounds like I'm being a jerk, but it just does. It just does. And it doesn't for everybody. For some people, they take off. It makes them a much worse person. Having a kid, it brings out the worst in their character. And it tells you who they are as a person, I think. And so as a comedian, it's made me a better person, which made me a better comedian. But also, it's sort of narrowed what I talk about. I talk mostly about that.
Right. I agree 100%. For me also, it's made me a much better person. And whether it was consciously or subconsciously, because I'll say this, it wasn't too long after I started doing comedy and finally got to a point where I was getting paid and starting to do some travel that, my wife and I started having kids. I could have taken the path when I was on the road of, hey, we're going out with the wait staff tonight. We're going to have a blast or everything like that. But it was in my head. It's like, I got a wife with 2 children at home. I can't be doing that. I need to get back to the hotel, take care of my shit, and be who I need to be, or be in the condition I need to be in when I get home.
Exactly.
And so I never did that kind of stuff. And I'm sure I can tell you a couple club owners who didn't have me back because I wasn't the party after the show guy. And tough shit. Well,
I have a couple club owners that won't have me back because I was the party after the show guy. So I got to tell you, it's a wash. It's a wash on that one. But I spent 20 years on the road. I occasionally had girlfriends, but mostly I was just a single guy with very few responsibilities. I had a responsibility of paying rent, and that was it. and whatever responsibility I had to my mom and my friends and stuff like that. And that was a fun life, but I couldn't have done it forever. I couldn't have. I wouldn't want to be my age now, still trying to hang out with the staff after a show. It would be the saddest thing in the world, because I'm 30 years older than these people now. And we have nothing in common, and it's fine. We get along fine, but I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to go out bar hopping with the staff anymore.
Anytime I do a club gig and there's a 10:30 show, all I can think of is that's an hour past my bedtime, for Christ's sake.
How about, have you ever done any 3-show nights lately? Because
no.
Like St. Louis used to have that midnight show on Saturday.
Oh man.
You don't know what you've said at that point. It's like, did I already do this joke to these people? Yeah. I mean, that's work. That is absolute work.
Yeah. Yep. Let me ask you this. Okay, question number 5, because this always interests me. And when I think about somebody like you, I don't know how you get this done. You're living in Los Angeles. You're married with 3 kids. How do you coordinate time to either write prep material, find time to get on stage? That's got to be a tough thing to do.
It is, because it's so the kids, they go to bed right around 8. We have an 8 o'clock bedtime, a little bit later for the older ones. But so then by the time bedtime's over, I mean it's 9 o'clock, and I'm going to go out to a show then. And so it's very hard. It's just very hard just to get yourself up after a long day and then go out and hit the shows. But it's what you got to do. And then once you're there, and once you're amongst your peers and your comedians, and you're busting on each other, and you're tagging jokes, and you're in that mindset, it's like, oh yeah, I'm a comic. Sometimes I forget that when I'm walking my kids to school. It's 7:30 a.m. But when you're in it, it brings you back to your creative nature. And so I think it's important. It's just important that you got to make the time to go out and be amongst comics. I have breakfast with comics. I talk about jokes with comics, because you got to stay in the mindset. Because the thing is, Dave, when people do come out and see me, I swear to God, I want to be worth it. I want to be worth their time. Because whether 100%. Or not they bought a ticket or they got a free ticket, they put on pants, they got in a car, they drove through weather, they parked, they spent money on drinks, they've invested their night in you. And so I want to be worth it,
Yeah. I tell young comics all the time, and I think a lot of the younger comics get jaded by the fact that, whether it's the integration of social media and the way they think things are supposed to happen. I always tell people, I don't care how many people are in the crowd, if you're the headliner, even if they don't know who the hell you are, show them why your name is on the ticket they bought. Prove to them why it was worth the $20 to come see you.
Yeah.
And
it's not their fault they're 12 people. They would rather be 40 people or 50 people. But they're the only 12 people that came to see you do stand-up comedy. Those are your best friends. Those are the best people in the world right now. Everybody else has abandoned you. The other 8 billion people on Earth are not here. But they
don't
are.
Care.
And they're the only people that matter right now. Yeah. Yep. It's for younger comics, sometimes it's kind of a hip thing to dislike your crowd. To these idiots here to see me. Yeah. What the hell's wrong with them? And I went through that when I was young. I went through that phase when I thought I was better than them. And the thing is, it's like, then one day you realize I'm really not. I'm better at stand-up than them, but at everything else in life, I'm probably not. Yeah.
Here's the reason I had to turn on the crowd. They didn't like me. That's why I had to turn on the crowd. That's really what it is. So
they weren't giving me what I deserved.
Yeah. They obviously didn't care for me, so I was shitting on them. Yeah. All right, question number 6. You're flipping channels. Forget that streaming even exists. You're flipping channels in the movies Wolf of Wall Street, and The Big Short are all on at the same time. Which one of those do you watch and why?
Big Short. Wolf of Wall Street. So in my life, I've had 4 lifetime bans on movies where I said to myself, I'm never going to see these movies. And Wolf of Wall Street was on that list. I finally watched it like 3 months ago. But my problem with Wolf of Wall Street is that the financial people that blew up the world and that live that way should not be celebrated. I don't want to, even if I'm not giving up any money to see the movie, I don't want to at all support this horrible person. And he's not a good guy. And none of them were good guys. They were all bad guys that cost a lot of people their lives. Like, it cost a lot of people all of their money and their hopes and their dreams, and just so they could pocket it. Just so because they're greedy. That's all it was. And so I didn't, but what's funny is like, but I'll watch Goodfellas 1,000 times, which is way worse guys. So sometimes my thoughts, they make no sense. But The Big Short, I think, is the opposite of Wolf of Wall Street, that shows you, here's why these are bad people, and here's what they did, and here's the problem with what they did. And besides that, it's just a fantastic movie all the way around. And Wall Street, I find to be a bit overrated. I think Oliver Stone in general is overrated as a director.
Agreed.
I mean, like, out of all of his movies, there are 3 pretty good ones. You know?
I agree. Yep. I would do the same. The Big Short, of those 3, I would definitely watch. Wolf of Wall Street, you know, I watched it. It was all right. I recently caught a piece of Wall Street on TV, and I think you're right. Oliver Stone is overrated in many things, but boy, that movie just doesn't hold up. It just doesn't.
No.
And it's not so much because of the technology and the things that are happening these days. Just the acting and the whole, it just doesn't hold up.
Right.
Well. So,
yeah.
All right.
He did his
Number
insider
7.
trading from a motorcycle. Come on, man.
Yeah. Yep. Question number 7. You have a very distinct voice and a very distinct way of delivering your material, and also a very distinct way of writing. Now, in the shows we've done together, when I'm sitting in the back of the room and I'm watching you, regardless of the presentation, regardless of your presence on stage, one of the things I'm always listening to is the fact that the stuff you do is beautifully written. So, have you ever tried to pursue that path in comedy? This is not one of those, hey, if this isn't working out, why don't you try this? This is not that. This is simply you. No,
I know what you're saying. I don't have the discipline for it. I don't have the discipline to sit down and work on a half-hour show every week, or to be on a late-night crew. I don't have the discipline, because when I write, it all kind of comes at once, Dave, is the strangest thing about it. It's like I have an idea, and I work on the idea, and then sometimes I talk to somebody else about the idea, and they'll have a completely different view of it. I'm like, oh, yeah. You know, like, how many times have you done a bit for a year, and then you finally figure it out? Like, there's so many times where I go on stage, and I say this thing, and it's not that great, but I know that it can be great.
Yeah.
And then one day, just something clicks. And sometimes you figure out the ending, or sometimes somebody gives you the ending. They're like, why don't you do, or whatever. And so, I wouldn't be good at it. I wouldn't be good at it.
It looks like lightning. My light bulb's going out. It's not lightning.
It's exciting.
You know, I'm very similar.
It's like The Natural. When I do a good joke, like your lights all get da 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 da.
I know what you're saying, because I love to write, but I'm only good at writing for myself. I'm not good like in a collaboration thing, and it's by no means because I think I'm smarter or funnier. I have a very difficult time trying to jump into somebody else's point of view and speak from that angle. I'm just not good at it.
Yeah,
it kind of has to come from me, and so I'm with you on that. If I was going to do some writing, I would want to do like essays or something that's just me or something like that. All right. Question number 8. I'm going to give you 3 names: Henry Phillips, Bob Zaney, Bent Washburn. Okay?
Okay.
You're in a situation where you're traveling with one of these 3 people. You've had a horrible pickleball accident. Both your wrists are broken. You get a flat tire. Which one of those 3 would you hope is with you if you got to change a flat tire?
Bent Washburn.
Yep. Easy.
Henry is fantastic, and he's a genius, and he's probably the most talented person I know, but he has no man skills. 0 man skills. And Zaney would just be busting my balls the whole time.
Yeah. And probably just walk away from the car, right?
It's like, I'm too big for this. Put out his thumb.
Bent is, as some people may or may not know, super funny comedian. I know you probably spent a lot of time in Portland, Oregon with him, but he's lived all over the world because his wife is in the military.
Yep.
And if I had to guess, his wife has said, you got to get your shit together and you got to learn how to do some things. So
yeah,
Bent's going to be the guy who, all right, yeah, I'll go fix it.
Yeah, I'll get out in the snow. You stay here. You keep yourself warm.
Is he not one of the funniest people that you...
Yeah.
I find him to just be hilarious.
The thing about Bent is he's not just... He's a gentle soul. He's just a loving, warm person to be around. But he's also one of the funniest people I've ever seen speak. And it's always been that case. I mean, I did gigs with him in Richland, Washington. And I think in the 90s. I think it was the late 90s that we did gigs together. And at the time I thought, man, this guy's great. He's really, really funny. But he hadn't quite figured out his rhythm and his pacing yet. And he wasn't as comfortable on stage as he is now. But then when you watch just somebody just get better and better. The year before, or 10 years before I won San Francisco, I did San Francisco and I did it with Bent. Because he had a $25 a night room on the base outside of San Francisco. And so we shared that, right? Yeah. And this was 2000. We tried to do the same thing in 2001, but it was right after September 11th. So they wouldn't let us on. But one night, so like I say, you get judged every night. And there was one night in a winery, and it was during the final, so there's 5 comedians. And I went up 5th, and I just didn't have a good set. They just didn't like me, and that's fine. So then at the end of the show, they announced the top 5 for the night. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be 5th. So they announced the name and it's not me. And then it's not me. And then it's not me. And I'm like, oh no. And they announced the winner, and the winner was me. And I come out and they booed me. They boo! Boo! And I'm just going, it wasn't my fault. I knew that I sucked. And so Bent is just dying laughing. He's just dying laughing. And I'm going, funny. Wait, are you booing or chanting Auggie? Booing? Okay.
I can't tell which one it is.
Like, that was, he was just such a wonderful person to spend a couple weeks with like that. Yeah, he's just the greatest guy in the world. I love him. I
love when I see his little clips on YouTube or whatever. They're just... It's just they're just so simply laid out, but they're just so funny, and you can just picture him in the scenarios he's telling you about, and it's just it's just great.
His dry bars, I think, are some of the best dry bars that there's ever been.
Yeah, and they've millions and millions of views, and justifiably. So, okay, question number 9. This is kind of the proverbial: where is Auggie Smith going to be in 5 years? Where would you like to see things head for your career? I know we're both of similar age. I'm 57, but I am a firm believer that funny is funny is funny, and age doesn't matter with what we do. If you can get a room full of people laughing, you can keep doing this forever. So where would you want to be as your career progresses?
Right now, Dave, I'm in the middle of I'm trying to write a whole hour special about being a special needs parent. Because I'm down to 10%, so we got to hurry. And I don't want that to be my whole career and define my life, but I want to do that. For me, it's short-term goals. Right now, I want an hour on just that and talking about just that because nobody's done it, really. People have talked about it a little bit, but there hasn't been like a whole act devoted to it. So I want to accomplish that. A lot
of people going through it. A lot of people going through it, too.
And there's more and more going through it. And and it's also one of those things when you talk about parenting, it separates the good ones from the bad ones. It really does. Because it's so time consuming and so hard. It's short-term goals for me. So it's that.
Good. Very nice. Well, let's hope that gets done. Question number 10. Last one. I ask everybody this question. Make them think about this for a little bit. What is your favorite way to celebrate a win, either professionally or personally? What's your favorite way to sit back and celebrate a win?
Oh, just telling my wife. God, I love when something good happens in my life. I just love telling my wife. Anything where, I did something hard or I succeeded in something. I just love telling her. It's like my favorite thing in the world, because it's a funny thing in marriage is that, you know, with all the other emotions and all the other feelings, you want them to be proud of you. You know, it's almost like it's a little kid sometimes trying to please his parents. That's what I feel like sometimes. Yeah. And I don't feel that way all the time, but I absolutely love the feeling of winning, of doing something good and telling my wife. Yeah. Nice. Very good. All right. Well, Auggie, that's it. That's our 10 questions. That's it. I thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast with me. I hope everybody enjoyed my son's room. This is my son's room that we're in. We loved it. That I'm hiding out in. Best way to find you is at AuggieSmith.com or on the socials at SmithAuggie, correct? No problem. No problem. Okay? There we go. Okay. That's it. All right. So, Auggie, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it. And please take care. And I will talk with you soon. All right, buddy. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye.